Hannibal Barca, the Black Carthaginian general. Hannibal and his African troops must have brought a great deal of Negro strain into the Roman population. For 13 years they dominated the peninsula from the Alps to Naples. Hannibal himself was a full-blooded Negro with woolly hair, as his coins show. The former says, Negroes crossed the Alps with Hannibal and fell at Worth beside McMahon. Hannibal, most famous of all Carthaginians, was a Negro, as was said. Here's a whitewashed illustration of Hannibal Barca.
Hannibal Barca was a military commander and tactician who lived from 247 to 183 BC. He is widely regarded as one of the greatest military leaders in history. Hannibal is best known for his remarkable march across the Alps with his army and war elephants to attack the Roman Republic in 218 BC. Hannibal's tactics, which included the use of ambushes, feints, and encirclements, were innovative for their time and are still studied by military strategists today. His legacy has had a lasting impact on the way wars are fought and on the development of military strategy. He is remembered as a master of battlefield tactics and as a pioneer in the use of unconventional warfare.
Prepare to meet history's most daring military genius. Hannibal Barca, born 247 BC in Carthage, swore a childhood oath to destroy Rome that would shape his entire life. At just 26, he launched one of history's most audacious military campaigns, marching 37 elephants and 50,000 men across the treacherous Alps in winter. For 15 years, he terrorized Rome on its own soil, crushing their armies at Cannae, where he killed 70,000 Romans in a single day. Despite never losing a major battle in Italy, he couldn't capture Rome itself. Eventually, recalled to defend Carthage, he was finally defeated by Scipio at Zama. His tactical brilliance still influences military strategy 2,000 years later.
Hannibal Barca, 247 to 183 BC, was a Carthaginian general and one of history's greatest military strategists, best known for invading Italy during the Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BC, and nearly defeating Rome. Born in Carthage, modern-day Tunisia, Hannibal was raised to hate Rome by his father, Hamilcar Barca, a general from the First Punic War. After taking command of the Carthaginian army in Spain, he launched his legendary campaign against Rome. In 218 BC, Hannibal led his army, along with war elephants, on a daring march from Spain, across the Pyrenees, through Gaul, modern France, and over the Alps into Italy. This bold move caught the Romans off guard. Once in Italy, he won stunning victories, including the Battle of Trebia, 218 BC, Lake Trasimene, 217 BC, and his most famous triumph at Cannae, 216 BC, where his smaller force annihilated a much larger Roman army. Despite his successes, Hannibal could never capture Rome itself. After more than 15 years in Italy, he was forced to return to Carthage when Rome, under Scipio Africanus, invaded North Africa. In 202 BC, Hannibal suffered his only major defeat at the Battle of Zama, ending the war. Hannibal later went into exile, advising foreign kings before being pursued by Rome. Rather than be captured, he took poison and died around 183 BC. His military tactics, especially his use of strategy and ambush, are still studied today.
He was just 9 years old when he swore eternal hatred for Rome. 2 decades later, he marched elephants over the Alps and shattered the myth of Roman invincibility. His name was Hannibal Barca, and he would become the African general Rome feared for generations. Hannibal was born in 247 BCE in Carthage, a mighty North African empire on the Mediterranean coast, in what is now Tunisia. His father, Hamilcar Barca, was a celebrated general of the First Punic War. Defeated by Rome but unbroken, Hamilcar taught his sons that Rome would never stop until Carthage was ashes. Before the gods, young Hannibal vowed he would never be Rome's friend, only its destroyer. After Hamilcar's death, Hannibal was raised on the battlefield. At just 26, he was given command of Carthage's forces in Iberia, modern-day Spain. There he trained relentlessly, formed alliances with local tribes, and built one of the most disciplined armies in history. When Rome allied with the city of Saguntum, deep in Carthaginian territory, Hannibal saw it as provocation. He laid siege to the city. Rome declared war, but Hannibal had no intention of fighting Rome in Spain. He would bring the war to their doorstep. In 218 BCE, Hannibal began a march no general had ever hacked. With 90,000 infantry, 12,000 cavalry, and 37 African war elephants, he crossed the Pyrenees, fought through hostile tribes, and entered the Alps. Snowstorms, avalanches, starvation, thousands died. But after 15 brutal days, Hannibal descended into Italy with an army forged by suffering. Rome had no idea what was coming. At the Trebia River, Hannibal ambushed a Roman force and annihilated them. At Lake Trasimene, he trapped 15,000 Roman soldiers in a fog-covered slaughter. But it was at Cannae that he rewrote the art of war. Surrounded on all sides, 80,000 Roman troops fell in a single day, a massacre so complete it still studied in military academies. Rome trembled, cities defected, but Carthage refused to send reinforcements. Hannibal, deep in enemy territory, was left alone. For over a decade, Hannibal held his ground in Italy, undefeated yet unsupported. He tried diplomacy. He waited. He bled Rome slowly. But his army, stretched and tired, could not take the capital. In 204 BCE, the Romans sent Scipio Africanus to strike Carthage itself. Hannibal was recalled.
It was the battle he had waited years for.
At Zama in 202 BCE, Hannibal faced Rome one final time. But the years had worn him down. Carthage's cavalry was weak. Scipio had learned from Hannibal's own tactics. Hannibal lost, Carthage surrendered. He fled into exile, offering his skills to other kings, evading Roman assassins across the ancient world. Even hunted, he remained a threat. In his final days, cornered in Bithynia, Hannibal drank poison rather than be captured by Rome. His last words? "Let us free Rome from her long anxiety." They had called him a barbarian, a savage, a monster. But Hannibal was a master of tactics, an African general who shook the foundations of empire. Rome would fear his name for centuries, and history, though slow to remember, could not forget. You were never meant to know his name, but you will not forget it now. Hannibal, the African who made Rome bleed. If this is your first time hearing Hannibal's full story, that's not by accident. African history has been buried for centuries, but we're digging it up. Subscribe to Silent Dynasties, because the empires they erased are the ones worth remembering.